So yesterday I was speaking with a work acquaintance and she watched my videos, she checked out my channel, she liked, commented, and subscribed the way you should, but she was telling me that it seems like there's way too much judgment on people. There's standards and things in place that I talk about or that I may be preaching to where I may miss out on blessings because I don't let nothing happen naturally. Because you want a girl who's young, you want a girl who doesn't have a past, you want a girl who does X, Y, and Z. And if I don't say that directly, I insinuate that with my videos. She said, let it happen naturally. Just go with the flow and let the vibes carry you away. And I told her that I'm a man. I can't think like that. That is a female's point of view and perspective, because only women have the privilege of sitting back and feeling like something just happened naturally. If you want a guy who is successful, he had to work hard for that. If you want a guy who dresses nice, well, he had to figure that shit out. He had to have the money for the clothes. He had to learn game. He has to know what women like. Women have the privilege of feeling like things just happen naturally, not knowing that on the man side, that the man had to put work into obtaining the things that women tend to want. And so, as a man, I told her I can't think like that. Nothing just happens. You feel like it just happened. It all comes together like, oh, you're my blessing. God sent you to me. Or you're my potential soulmate. But you don't realize that I had to learn my game. I had to learn how to make a woman feel comfortable. I had to learn how to be what she liked. I had to develop a personality traits and have material items that I know women like. So to you, it just happened. But to me, I put work in, and it is happening on purpose. I already know when I go on a date, I'm going to kill it. To her, she thinks it just happened. To me, I know that I put myself in a position to be attractive to her and for her. So with that said, that has a lot to do with this whole wedding, marriage, commitment, relationships. Women want you to believe in soulmates. They want you to believe that things just happen. And men that don't have the experience with women or the life experience dating, they will fall into a pattern of thinking they must accept certain things because you don't want to miss out on your blessing. So men have to be calculated. Men have to be on purpose. Men have to be on guard. Just like I'm sure women have to be on guard or on purpose or whatever. But nothing just happens. So knowing that, you have to screen properly so you could avoid positions and predicaments like tonight's video. Now, I will be reacting to part 2 of this crazy, savage man who caught his wife cheating and realized that he was gonna it was over. He was going to file for divorce, but he played along and collected evidence against her, because once you get divorced, you're basically building a case against your partner or your significant other. Now, women are great at this. They are naturals. That's why most men get devastated from a divorce. But very rarely, or few and far between, does a man come out ahead like this gentleman. So tonight we finish part 2. If you want to get brought up to speed, watch the video before this. Watch part 1 and it can fill you in on all the details. But this is going to be a Reddit reaction, and throughout the video, the gentleman actually reiterates and kind of brings you up to speed on what you missed, or kind of gives you a little synopsis on, you know, kind of what went on if you're watching this part 2 without seeing part 1 first. So you could be brought up to speed either way. So without further ado, welcome to the Radical Masculine.
The ideas, opinions, and beliefs of the radical masculine are for entertainment purposes only. We make fun of everyone equally.
you, this dude is 27 freaking years old, 5 years older than our oldest son, and he's that sprung on a 45-year-old married mother of 2? What a grade A high-quality simp. She chose to...
I knew I liked this guy, and now I know I love him. He's beautiful. He understands what's going on. He knows the word simp. He knows what a simp is. He knows he is not a simp. There's only one thing worse than 45-year-old vagina. 45-year young vagina. Even worse. Actually, equally as bad.
Blow up our marriage and destroy the home we'd built for this dude? Pretty boy with a soft side? Ha! She responded saying pretty much the same thing she said when they last talked, that she loves him and enjoyed their time together, but she can't lose me.
A woman can only love one man. Like love, like the way men want to be loved by their wife. Only one. See, a lot of women will destroy a marriage, but they will want to stick around because it's comfortable. I want things to go back to the way they used to be because they won't say it or admit it, but it's comfort, it's knowing the routine, it's all that shit. But once a woman is over you, once she cheats, she's already done been checked out. Sex for women is very emotional, and they have to bring themselves to a special place in order to open their legs. Although women don't act like that these days, but it's still true. It's still true. But yeah, so if a woman cheats, it's fucking over.
I'm still the love of her life, but she'll always have a place for him in her heart. That they can still be friends if he chooses, but the physical relationship between them is over. He begged her to see him one last time that week, and yep, you guessed it, she said yes. One more for the road, right? Who am I to say anything? That's what I did to her the previous night. Of course, I added all that to the archive I'd compiled. December 4th is when Phase 3, the final phase of Operation Shinobi Ghost, started. The divorce paper...
This guy has a way with words and titles. Shinobi Ghost. Maybe I'm stupid, but I don't know what the fuck that is. But I like it.
Were in hand. My new place of residence was set up. Now I had to slowly start moving my stuff out of the house. But first, I had to break the news to my boys. I called my oldest to the house that Friday night. Had them join...
I cannot get over how disciplined and how calculated this dude is. I would have lost my shit. The first minute I found out about this shit, I would have been like, no, boom, 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 boom. Shooting my shot, but not like that, just like, da da da. I'd be pissed. That bitch would have been sleeping in the front yard or at her boyfriend's house 5 minutes into it.
Me in my office and laid everything out on the table. Not the specifics, but that their mother had been cheating on me for over a year, and I was going to be filing for divorce soon. My 17-year-old was especially shaken up by this, because he himself had recently experienced his first take of infidelity. Yep, his first girlfriend had cheated on him just 4 months prior.
Quickly, I will say this. One thing I notice about these Reddits, the parents always tell the kids, and usually it's the women. And it disgusts me when a man like this guy didn't do it, or so he says he didn't. They always say, your mom cheated, she's sleeping with somebody else, she wants to be with someone else, and that's such a fucking female thing to do. Because that's what women do. And women do that to attempt to turn the kids against the father when he does cheat. And so, to me, it's crazy. Thank God he didn't, because I would have felt a lot differently about him. I probably would have cheated on him with another... Okay, I'm forever. I love him forever for this, but no, I noticed that like women will do, they will tell 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, oh, well, your dad was sleeping with another woman. He was inserting his penis into her vagina. Do you know what a penis is? Do you know what a vagina is? Point to yours, point to yours. Okay, that's what it is. And it's like, that's fucking unnecessary. Parents will lie to their kids and tell them Santa Claus is real, but when it comes to shit like this, they will say, oh, they had to know the truth. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. And I don't believe kids are dumb, but still, I know women do it just to fucking spite the man. But perfect example, the man didn't do it because we're men.
Seeing his heart broken a second time at the idea that his own mother was capable of doing this hit him hard. My oldest took it a lot better and suggested taking his brother in to live with him until this blows over, to which I agreed. We packed up some of his stuff and he asked me, was I going to be okay? I told him, yes, son, I'm going to be all right. And so are you. We're going to be all right, I promise. And then they were off. The hardest part was now over, and it was now time to arm the nukes. Over the next few weeks, day by day, Oz would help me get a little of my most sensitive stuff out of the house. Gave him a list of all the definite stuff to grab while Sue and I were at work, and left him the spare key. This was all the stuff Sue wouldn't notice was missing unless you told her it was gone. I'd also gotten a new phone and phone number, and told everyone who needed to know. Oz, Joey, Nina, my boys, Big Sis, and my mother. My new contact info. Meanwhile, I'm keeping up the ruse with Sue that she's none the wiser, trickling bits of pieces of affection.
I cannot pull that off. If I'm mad at somebody, you fucking know I'm not having sex with you. I'm not touching you. I'm not being nice to you. I'm not looking at you. I'm not doing none of this shit. And this guy fucking played this shit off. It's like, wow. He dug deep for this one.
To her just to keep her off the trail, while she's still in contact with POS. Not to the extent that they'd been prior, but there's still
naturally
an emotional thing happening. The fog is faint, but it's still there. All the while, I gather everything, and I do mean everything. Every bit of data I've archived since I started the plan. Call logs, texts, pics, emails, everything. And start making...
Women destroy men in divorce so often that it's like finally a win for men. But women, they actually better get used to this because men are fucking waking up. I'll tell you what, like once the older generations die off that have been married for like X amount of years, 40 to 60 years, once they die off, we will get a true glimpse as to the marriage rates, the statistics, and we will see that a lot of dudes are over this shit. I'm telling you.
Printouts. Folks, I must have spent over $1,500 on staple supplies. Printer ink, paper, binders, the works. And I cataloged everything in order, from the beginning of the affair until the last bit 2 weeks ago, December 16th, in the binders. 14 of them. I then put each one in a box and gift wrapped each, addressing them to various people. My mother, my father passed 7 years ago, her parents, her 2 sisters, her brother, her HR department. Did I forget to mention POS worked for the same?
Did he say that he gifted to his mother that passed years ago? He all takes it to her gravesite and he's like, here you go, Mom. You deserve to know that Sue was a whore. I'll see you on the other side.
Company, and there's an expressed rule against her interrelationships because of the nature of what she does. Several of her friends, POS and POS's parents, lugged all of those efforts to the post office and shipped them all out December 16th. ETA for delivery, December 22nd through the 24th. Perfect. So we're now...
I gotta be honest, I will say being petty is not a good thing, but in this world today, 2023, fuck it. I'm all for being petty. If it has to be done, it has to be done, you know? Because, I'll tell you what, women are running up numbers on men. They're making men look like shit. They're disrespectful. They're making all men seem like shit, cowards, weak, whatever. So it's always nice and a breath of fresh air when a man don't take no fucking bullshit and serves a hoe. Bitch.
Christmas Eve. Sue comes home around the usual time. No idea if she'd seen POS. I'd stopped tracking her on the app the 18th. Figure I'd gotten all the mileage I needed from it. As per usual.
He's like, no, she didn't see him, but she did suck his dick.
She showers, hangs out with me a bit. I
washes the, out of the, you know what.
Blow her back out on the living room couch. I know, I'm a freaking a-hole. And she turns in for the night.
One thing I would not do in this case, because I'm all for being petty, just don't fuck her. Don't fuck her. Because I'll tell you what, I've had some crazy females where they've done crazy shit. And then like the see in hell bitch, last fuck, I went a little bit too deep. And all of a sudden, she's even crazier. I'll tell you what, you can go too deep and... They fall in love over and over. He loves me. Nope.
Final phase was upon me at long last. The nuke I'd been arming since June was finally about to launch. In the middle of the night, I woke up and wrapped up one of the 3 remaining binders with the divorce papers taped to the inside cover and set it on my side of the bed with a note that said, Merry Christmas on it. Next to it, I left my old
This type of fucking destruction takes time. It takes dedication, real dedication.
phone and the business card of my lawyer. I packed up the remainder of my most needed items, enough to fill 2 backpacks, and I left my home, that I spent 23 years in, for the last time. That, my friends, was 1 week ago. To Sue, I am completely off the grid, gone, shadow ghosted. She's blocked on Facebook, but still hasn't blocked me for some reason, so I'm keeping tabs on the fallout. It's absolutely glorious. My packages have reached everyone I sent them out to, and Sue is getting crucified. Her youngest sister completely.
So this guy did not call her out on her divorce, didn't say shit. He played it fucking off until the very end. And just one day, she comes home after a long day of cock and work. And then she's like, where's everybody at? Where is he at? Where's Bruce Wayne at? And then she's like, oh, look at this package. An early Christmas gift. He still does love me. And then her fucking world, shit hits the fan, everything's all bad. And she's like, oh, where is he? I can't get a hold of him. Great, glorious, perfect, the greatest. This guy is a fucking god amongst men. He deserves a place on on Mount Rushmore. I'm telling you, him and his cock. They should put his face in like his cock, and I don't know how it would work out. I don't know the layout or the structure or anything, but I'm just telling you this. I'm just spitballing here, it's free flowing right now.
Dressed her down. Both of her parents have condemned her. My mom absolutely destroyed her. Like, holy crap. I know my mom has a mean streak, but the things she called Sue were unfreaking holy. She's been frantically trying to find out if anyone knows where I am, but those that do aren't saying a word. All over her Facebook feed, she's desperately trying to reach me because I'm guessing she knows I'm likely looking. But I'm not saying a freaking word to her without my lawyer present. That'll be the next time I share oxygen with her. She's got no way of spinning the narrative to paint me as the bad guy because I've exposed her to everyone who matters to her.
Because if you allow them to, they will.
And from what a mutual friend who works in the same company as her, she and POS apparently are being put on administrative leave as of tomorrow. So yeah, chances are she'll be going into 2021 unemployed. As for the final 2 binders, well, one has been turned.
Ouch, and that was during the pandemic? How's she supposed to pay her bills? What about her? It's funny because I actually did research on this, and there was a whole bunch of women, like clearly they don't put this in this video, there's a whole bunch of women condoning her bad behavior, talking about, oh, well, what about her job? She still has to be a mother. She still has a life to live. Like, it's one thing. And it's just like, man, you fucking females give other females terrible fucking advice. It's like, all right, hey, you want to be equal to a man? Well, quit being fucking stupid then and give constructive criticism. Hold women accountable, and when they do some fuck shit, don't expect chivalry and say, oh, well, she is a woman. She has to pay her bills. She's still a mother. She held those kids for 9 months in her stomach, and a man couldn't do that. Although men are trying to do that now, and they're doing it much better than women, I might add. So just saying, but, Over
to my lawyer as my final bit of evidence for my impending divorce. And the last one I put into my storage unit to be burned in Joey's fire pit when the divorce is final. Do I feel guilty about this? No, not even in the slightest. 23 years I did right by this woman. I gave her the home she wanted. I gave her the family she wanted. I gave her the life I felt we both deserved. And I loved her unconditionally. Never have I faltered. Never have I strayed. Never have I.
That's a lie, because clearly the condition was broken. She cheated on him, so clearly you can't love her unconditionally because she did some fucked up shit and you left her. And we have to call this out because too many women, like, oh, I love unconditionally, but I left him because I wasn't happy. Well, that was a condition, apparently.
And entertained the notion of breaking any vows. When an issue came up that I felt was affecting our marriage, I came to her and told her, and we sorted it out as best we could. She opted to find comfort in another man's bed. Rather than come to me and say she wasn't happy with our sex life at the time, she decided to step out with the young punk who gave her the tingles. So no, I have no sympathy for what I did, or for her. She can burn in hell for all I care. The most I stand to lose is my house, a car, and maybe a couple $100 a month in alimony. But seeing as the divorce is filed under the statute of adultery and New York State isn't at fault, that might get waived with the...
All right, I'll tell you one thing. I have to say this. I'm not trying to interrupt or anything, but biology tells us everything we need to know about men and women. Men are the most horniest in their youth, their adolescence, their, teens, 20s, 30s, when they can impregnate and create a life, a baby. Women, they're not supposed to have sex like the way women today do, because they could only carry one baby a year. They only get super horny when they can't give birth. So women clearly are not set up to be fucking like the way a lot of these women are. And the sad part is they don't have none of the testosterone or the sex drive of men, but they are fucking like pigs, because it's all about the attention, the natural high, about feeling lit. It's about the status. It's about feeling like I'm somebody, someone's paying attention to me. I'm that bitch, I'm a boss, or whatever. But if you look at biology, clearly it shows men can have 1 million kids a year. They could get it up 1 million times. But women, they really can't. They normally save their egg for the best seed. That's why they're so picky. That's why they want stability. That's why they want a strong man who could protect them. So when women say, oh, it's 2023, blah, 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 it's like, well, bitch, clearly we are still fucking selecting from all of our millions of years of evolution, but they can't put two and two together. They want to fuck, so they're going to find a way to make the point work.
Insurmountable amount of evidence I've provided. As far as I'm concerned, she's dead to me and I'm never looking back. Quick edit. New York State is not fully at fault. Under certain circumstances, a divorce can be filed at fault, of which my lawyer has informed me my case falls under. I'll be meeting the soon-to-be ex-wife with her lawyer tomorrow. I'm guessing I'll just update here. Second edit. To the guy on YouTube and in my PM who said I got cucked for over a year and all of my evidence will not be submittable in court, claiming he's a retired PI with 20 years experience, you can F right the F off. Had a quick word.
These people exist everywhere. They're women. There's a few men to where they have to be right about something. They have to tell somebody they're wrong and tell somebody they're right.
On the matter with my lawyer earlier today, 1/5/21, and everything provided outside of the phone calls are valid. Find something better to do with your time than harassing me, buddy. Update.
You better watch yourself, because this motherfucker might say, catch me outside, how about that?
1. Okay, so since none of the other relationship subs are allowing you to post an update, and I can't post a new topic on r/nuclear revenge, I'm putting the update here on my profile. There are 2 key events that happened over the course of the last 2 weeks that I want to highlight before the meeting with my soon-to-be ex-wife and her lawyer. Original post can be read here.
So this guy basically played it off that he didn't know his wife was cheating. He was just completely cool. He gained distance from her, and he kind of made it seem like he was having an affair. He was basically mirroring everything she was doing with the phone, being distant, not wanting sex, all of that stuff. And his wife basically one day looked at a book. It was wrapped like a present. This book was sent to a whole bunch of people, and it had all the evidence. So she didn't have an opportunity to talk to him, convince him, nothing. So he's going to go to a meeting with his lawyer and speak about it for the first time.
Christmas Day was the first full day I spent in my new apartment. It's still a work in progress, as I have more stuff I want to get, but overall, I've made it my home, since I'm going to be here for 2 years at least. My boys and the eldest's girlfriend came over and spent a good portion of the day with me. The girlfriend brought over treats she'd made, and also whipped up a really nice meal. I got to sit and talk with my sons in a way I hadn't done in a really long time.
This guy must be a good masculine father, because his sons have a woman that's cooking. That shit's rare these days. All women still say, oh, I could throw down, my food's bomb. Well, that's a good indicator that their food is trash, because good women that are like wife-like or girlfriend material, they're not saying bomb. They're saying, yeah, I'm a great cook.
It was nice. My big sis also came over with more goodies and hung out with us also. It had been the first time she'd seen her nephews in nearly a year. Having all of them around me did some real good. As if I were by myself, I think I would have just drank myself into a stupor. Everyone cleared out around 8ish, and I decided I wanted to go hang out with Joey and his wife Claudia. Hung out with them for a couple of hours, had a couple drinks, and then went back home. The next biggest development happened last week, 12/29/20.
Now, whenever you're going through it as a man, the last thing you want to do is to drink or do any type of destructive behavior, because when you're in a screwed up state of mind, you go out, you drink, you drive, you go do something, you allow terrible women to come into your life, you are just asking for the world to continue to shit on you. So, best thing to do, focus on work, get in the gym, do things that are productive, and just focus on moving on. And never, I say never, take her back. Because when a woman cheats, it is over. Relationships or marriages where the wife cheats and the husband takes her back, when that marriage finally ends in divorce or the breakup happens, it's usually still the woman leaving the guy.
Around midday, I get a text from Nina asking if I was busy that night. I of course wasn't, so we agreed to meet up after I got off of work.
I hope he fucks her.
She shows up and we go to dinner, not far from where I work. Here in New York City, we're doing indoor dining at 25% capacity thanks to the Rona, but there's mostly no trouble getting seats because so many of us opt not to dine out as much these days regardless. So after we're seated and
Brainwashed liberals.
order our food, Nina pretty much lays all of her cards on the table, and honestly, I knew this was coming. She basically confessed that she's like me all the way, back since we were teenagers, but never got the chance to tell me since Sue swooped in and scooped me up before she could. For context, I've known Nina longer than Sue by 2 years. As I mentioned, she's been the fourth point of my social square of myself, Oz, and Joey. We were the social outcasts in high school, the raver kids who didn't fit into all of the cliques. Back then, Nina had a weight problem and was diabetic. She was the heavy.
Wow. Imagine being so out of shape and so overweight that you're a fucking diabetic in high school. Damn, that's crazy. That's why a lot of these women, so the average woman now weighs more than the average man. And throughout history, men have always outweighed women by at least 40 pounds, but now women outweigh men by 20 pounds. It's crazy. No fat chicks.
That goth chick who was super cool, but no guy would ever give her a second glance at. But we always had chemistry. These days, Nina is a personal trainer and yoga instructor. She was the ugly duckling who grew into one hell of a beautiful swan, if I must say. Long story.
The way he explained her, I don't know, I'm reading between the lines. I think she's a butterface. Everything but a face. And she might be, serviceable. And that's another thing women don't quite understand is if you have a lot of other good traits, you don't have to be a dime. Usually the more attractive the woman, the more problems, the more of a attention whore she is, the more insecure. It's crazy. Like I said, a woman's confidence, a beautiful woman's confidence is like $100 bill. It looks blue, it looks fancy, it seems valuable, but when you really look at it or look at it from the side, it's thin and it's only made out of paper. And yes, I've said this once before, but that's my analogy and I'm sticking to it.
Short, we decided that upon the finalization of my divorce, we were going to start seeing each other. And yeah, I slept with her that night. Took her back to my new pad.
Boss.
And we had a grand old time. Am I ashamed of sleeping with her? Hell no. Nina's been a better friend to me than Sue ever was. That's not saying Sue wasn't.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say he was balls deep all night and once in the morning.
Best friend. But through the near quarter of a century I've known Nina, she's always supported me. Even so much as I learned that day, willingly taking a step back from her own feelings to allow me to pursue and eventually start a life with Sue. That resonated with me on a level I didn't think it would. That kind of selflessness towards another person is the definition of real love. I know, it sounds like I'm just trying to justify in my head that sleeping with her was the right decision. To me it was.
It was. It absolutely was.
And I plan on exploring what's to come with Nina and I with total commitment. Okay, on to yesterday, the day I met my wife and her lawyer to discuss the divorce. It's now been 2 weeks since I ghosted my soon-to-be ex-wife. This past Monday, I got a phone call from my lawyer that Sue's attorney has scheduled a meeting for us to discuss the terms of divorce on 1/6/21, which was yesterday. I met with him Tuesday morning to discuss the terms I'm wanting. Long story short, uncontested divorce under the grounds of marital neglect from Sue. My terms are full division of assets, and me selling my half of the house ownership to her. She can have it. We keep our respective vehicles. I keep my cabin in the Poconos. And under the pretenses
This dude must have some bread. A cabin in the fucking Poconos. And thank God. That's why, as a man, you have to have money. Because if you don't, the world just sucks. It's just terrible. Mediocre women. Even with money, you deal with mediocre women. Let alone being broke. You don't have shit. I wouldn't recommend it. I've been broke and I've been good, and I pick good all the time, every day, and working towards making it great.
marital neglect, she gets no spousal support from me. As for 17, what I'll refer to my son as from here on, he's...
Now imagine this real quick. Wife cheats, sucks another man's dick, man divorces her, and he still gets penalized. He has to pay alimony, he has to, pay child support, he has to split up all his shit. And here's the thing, back in the day, marriages would last 20 plus years. So clearly the wife couldn't work and she deserved it back then. But nowadays, marriages end in about 2 to 6 years. So for sure, the guy's going to be coming with shit before he even met her. For two, women are working and they're not willing to give up their careers for nothing or no one. They all have to have their plan B. So is marriage really a good deal for a guy? She could do the worst shit ever and he still gets penalized.
free to choose who he wants to reside with following the divorce, which will most likely be me. So Wednesday comes and I show up to my lawyer's office dressed in my Johnny Cash best. My wife and her lawyer.
That's black on black on black on black. Black on black on black.
She looks like crap, barely holding it together. I give the stone face. I won't bore you with the lawyer babble, but her lawyer presented an offer for terms of reconciliation. I shot them down almost as soon as she finished listing the details of the request. Like I said.
Now, women are definitely ruled by their emotions, and women allow their emotions to dictate everything that's going on. A woman could be wholly unhappy or wanting something else while she's married. She could cheat. That's what she wants. That's what she wants to do. It's what makes her feel good. And then, husband wants to divorce her, breaks up with her, gets mad at her, and her emotions rule her to the point to where, please take me back, please. But deep down, she still doesn't even want it. She's still just not happy. So that's why you never take them back, because women will say shit they don't mean, but they'll only say it because they feel bad in the moment. And once that wears off, because emotions are fleeing, then boom, she goes back to who she is and the mind state she was in prior to getting caught.
I'll spare you the details of the meeting. Long story short, we agreed to a legal separation leading to an uncontested divorce. The only revision is that I will pay her $653 a month of temporary spousal support to cover the cost of utilities until she's gainfully employed again. Yep, she got fired for screwing POS. He got canned as well. Up to a year.
I would say the best revenge for a woman. See, I'm not married, so I can't put myself in this guy's shoes. But he did some shit. She lost her job, and that's going to cost him $650 per month. Now, if he wanted that revenge, which it sounds like he does, fuck, that's a small price to pay. But really, it's a big price to pay. That could be a fucking little BMW car payment. Just like a little sports car, something you don't drive all the time, but instead you're giving it to the woman. You are rewarding her for cheating on you and sucking another man's cock. Bad deal. Bad deal. Just move on, cut your losses, dip out.
After the finalization. I make enough that it won't hurt me financially, even if she drags her feet finding a new job. And she's got enough in her savings to live off of for quite some time. Once a full calendar year has passed after the finalization date of the divorce has passed, she's on her own. Small price to pay for being rid of her cheating, but it'll take roughly 3 months for things to go through. So early.
And this is another reason why you have to have money as a man, so you could afford to not tolerate any fuckery from a woman. The only way you could protect yourself from a woman, the only way you could truly get what you want from a woman, your power as a man with a woman, is your ability to walk away, your ability not to care, your ability not to be devastated financially, and your ability to just withstand multiple shots. Boom, boom, boom. Lawyer fees, this, that, seeing your kids, boom. But if you could withstand all of these things and still remain standing strong at the end, then you won. Because it's easier for an older, successful guy to still get a young, beautiful, attractive woman versus this woman. She'll be stuck with 27-year-old guys with bad credit and kiss their ass, and she will definitely have to date down, for sure. Men will date down, but they'll do it, and they'll be winning because they want youth and beauty, attractiveness. That's all men really care about.
April, if there's no cock-ups, I'll be free of her. So after the meeting,
At first.
my lawyer gives me some final words before telling he'll be in touch to update me on the progress of the filing. Back out on the street, Sue chases me down and asks, can we talk? I figure I'd give her at least that. She held it together fairly well in the meeting, but outside let the waterworks flow, saying how sorry she was and how she never meant it to go as far as it did. She says she never expected to fall in love with POS, but knew when she thought I was cheating how wrong it was.
That has to be a terrible blow to a man's pride, ego, and to his heart. For the woman that he's been with for all these years, the mother of his children, the woman that shares a bed with him, for her to say she didn't expect to fall in love. Now, if she loves that guy, well, then she's lying by saying, I want to fix this. I want to work on this. Like, what? You love somebody else. How can this be fixed?
Betray her own husband in such a way. She asked could I ever find it in my heart to forgive me, and that maybe in a few years could we try to start over. That she can't imagine what her life is going to be without me. I tell her to start imagining it soon, because this will be the last time I ever speak to or see her. I tell her that 17 is almost a man and old enough to make his own choices as to his own future.
Thank God his kids are older, because you don't have to get stuck with the whole, because women will use this against you. If you have like younger kids, they'll say, well, no, you can't see him today, or I don't know if I'm going to let you see him, because women believe that your kids, the family, the husband and the wife's kids are her kids. But they're not. They're his too. Men carry the spark of life. Women just incubate it and it comes out of them. But still, it took two.
I say that I gave her half of my life and every ounce of love I had unconditionally, and she, in her own words, fell in love with another man. That there is absolutely no chance of me ever forgiving her. That all...
Well, apparently you didn't love her unconditionally, because this condition, her cheating, was enough for you to end it. So I don't let women get away with that bullshit. I don't let men get away with saying they love someone unconditionally, because there's always conditions in love, unless it's like your parents, your children, or whatever. But in mating and dating, nope.
love I had for her was slowly killed all of those months that she confided and professed her love to POS, rather than coming to me and telling me she had any form of issue with how things were going with us. I told her I loved who she once was, but I hate who stands before me, and that if I...
The crazy part is he has all this evidence she can absolutely not dispute, not a damn thing. And the thing is if you don't have all the information, women will attempt to waffle out of accountability. They'll lie, they'll deny, they'll try to take it to their graves, because they know shit's about ready to hit the fan. But when you catch a woman straight up, there's not a damn thing she could do about it. I knew a guy who caught his girl cheating. He caught them in the act, and she still denied it. And she went around and told all of his family that it was all made up in his head. She told him he needed counseling and therapy, that he's starting to hallucinate. It's crazy. I'll tell you, women will go through a lot of crazy fucking loops and imaginary tales to try to make some shit happen.
ever see her again, it'll be too soon. Here we are on the sidewalk in Midtown Manhattan, her making a scene crying her eyes out. A couple of folk walk on by and give side glances, but at that point, I didn't care. I wasn't about to publicly humiliate her. I pretty much already socially and professionally destroyed her, but I needed to get this last bit of emotion I had for her out. I finished by telling her I didn't regret the 23 years I spent being her husband. I regretted that in 23 years, she decided the easy way out was the better option, and I have your lovely sons of bitches on Reddit to thank for this last one, because it popped in my head just seconds before I said it. For 23
This guy's a real one.
years, I thought she was mine, but it turned out it was just my turn. Put in my Raycons, turned around.
Guys, a woman is never yours. It's only your turn. And there are a bunch of young guys right now with the girl who actually believes that this will be your end all be all. But I can tell you this, you're anywhere from 5 to 15 women away from the one you actually marry. So don't make permanent, lifelong decisions on temporary people. Bars.
Walked the F away. Later that night, her father calls me and apologizes. He praises me for always being a good man to his daughter and tells me that he raised her better than what she did. Not gonna lie, I'm going to miss the old man. My dad died years ago, so he's always been my default father figure since, but I can't see myself maintaining a relationship with anyone on her side of the family. After that call, I went on Facebook and symbolically changed my relationship status to divorced. Yeah, it's not final yet, but in my eyes, it's over and done. Like I said, when I make a post on Facebook, it's an event, so plenty of folks started hitting me up over Messenger.
Him and Nina should have a sexual celebration party. No clothes allowed. None. Only alcohol and Coke.
Asking questions, and I laid it all out that I filed for divorce with Sue earlier that day. Of course, Nina called me, shocked that I pulled the trigger so fast. Obviously, I was already in the process of it when we spoke, but she had no way of knowing how far it was along. I asked her if she could come over, and of course she comes a-running. We knocked boots again, but this time, she stayed the night.
This guy is amazing. And that's a great, for going through all this shit, that is a great reward for your cock.
In my bed and talked into the wee hours of the morning, and I haven't felt this level of relief and connection in really a long time. Nina gets me, and I can't get enough being around her. Since the day she confided in me, she's all that's been on my mind. Yeah, I know some folk are gonna say it's effed up I'm moving on so fast, but as far as I'm concerned, my marriage ended the day POS let Sue touch his pecker, so I'm about due. So yeah, that's it. That's the end.
In situations like this, women will say, oh, you moved on fast. Well, she moved on so fast that she was still in a fucking marriage.
My divorce is in the works, and I'm moving on to start a relationship with Nina. I know in a comment response to someone I'd say I'd probably not marry ever again, but that was before Nina came clean to me about how she felt towards me, and I can't deny that I feel the same. We're going to take it slow, and we're not announcing anything until the divorce with Sue is legal and official. As for Sue, I could give a flying F what happens to her. She could move POS into our old home for all I care. I'll be getting my money for the house over the course of 2021. 4 quarterly installments, and aside from the $653 I pay out directly to her savings account monthly, I never have to see or speak to her again.
I guess that's not that big of a price to pay, but still, I'd rather pay her $0.
Of the words of support, encouragement, and praise, I eternally thank you all. Update 2. Soon-to-be ex-wife of 23 years just tried to take the easy way out last night. The hits just keep on coming. I've been sitting on this for hours now. Didn't know where to post this, so this sub seemed appropriate. So, if you want a bit of backstory, check my post history for the details. I'm not keen on how linking to other subs here works, but my previous 2 entries were viewable in my profile. The quick version is this. I discovered my wife of 23 years, 45 female, was having an affair.
Okay, this is him kind of going back into detail about everything that happened. If you missed part 1, or if you're kind of getting caught up to speed here, I would recommend you go to video 1, you like, comment, share, and subscribe just like you do on this video. But this is a quick little, an abbreviated version of everything that's transpired up until this point.
With a 27-year-old coworker. We have 2 sons, 22 and 17. I concocted a plan to completely upend her life, centered around fooling her into thinking I was having an affair.
2 sons? Man, this guy must have lead in his pencil. He has some slugs.
Self. I kept the ruse going for over 4.5 months while compiling evidence of her infidelity, as well as securing divorce papers and planning my exit strategy. Slowly moving my personal belongings from our home to a new apartment, getting a new phone and number, separating my half of our shared income to our joint account, etc. On December 16, 2020, I gathered every bit of proof of her affair I'd compiled, printed it all out from start to that week, filed it all into 14 binders, packed 11 into gift wrap boxes, and mailed them all out to the most important people in her life, as well as her HR department, with an ETA between 12/22 and 12/24. On Christmas Eve, while she slept, I took one of the remaining 3 binders and did the same, only this one I taped the divorce notice to the inside of the cover and left it on my side of the bed, which, mind you, she'd had her lover in a number of times, along with my old phone and my lawyer's business card, and shadow ghosted her. Over the next 4 days, her life completely imploded. Her family.
This takes so much discipline because whenever a wife cheats, the husband or the boyfriend or whoever, they always want to know the details. They always want to know the why. They always want to know how long. These are questions that pop into a man's head, and he was disciplined and calloused enough to not need any of that. And that's actually a good thing, because who cares about the why when you know something happened? Sure, the details, they're great to know. They may put your mind at ease, or they may fucking destroy you. So just, I'm a huge fan of just dropping her like a bad habit, cutting it off. Who cares about the details? Who cares about the why? They're just going to be a whole bunch of answers that you don't want to hear.
Pretty much excommunicated her. Her friends, the ones who didn't know of the affair, ostracized, and my own mother took her to task, calling her the most scathing and vile things you could possibly think of. Her and her lover were also placed on administrative leave and eventually fired. Last week, we had our divorce hearing and settled on a legal separation into uncontested divorce, with a few provisions in place for transitional income since she's now unemployed. I'm to pay out the price for the utilities, $653 a month, until either she finds gainful employment or upwards to 1 year after the date of the divorce's finalization, which is expected to be 3 months from now. She keeps the house, her car, and her half of the shared assets. I keep my half of the assets, my vehicles, car and motorcycle and boat, and my vacation property, cabin in the Poconos. After the hearing, we had one final exchange where she tried to explain away her infidelity and begged me to give her a second chance after the divorce is finalized. I, of course, said no, gave her some choice words, and walked away from her forever. This brings us to last night. As only my closest friends, 2 sons.
That's why it's good to hopefully try to have a rebound that you like, because when a woman tries to come back to you, sometimes a man loves a woman so deeply and don't want to lose her. Some guys are simps enough to where they're willing to deal with their bullshit, but at least if you have another woman that you like or another woman you're sharing time with, it makes it harder to take them back. That's why women do it.
Older sister and mother have my new contact info and have completely blocked my soon-to-be ex-wife on all social outlets. She has no means of reaching me since I left her Christmas Eve, but some of our mutual friends still do. Last night, I'm hanging out in my apartment and I get a voice call notification on Messenger from one of said friends, one of the few who hadn't abandoned her following me outing her affair. She didn't waste any time when I answered and said she had went to check on Sue, the soon-to-be ex-wife, and found her passed out in the bedroom, foaming out of the mouth with 2 bottles of empty pills next to her. She's in the ICU and...
I don't believe it. I believe it happened, but I don't think she is so devastated and distraught. Women will like to do this to try to play the victim.
Critical but stable condition. The doctor said that she will likely pull through. She's clearly not going to be well after. She begged and pleaded for me to come. Her parents and 2 of her sisters...
Women attempt a lot of suicide, but they rarely follow through. Women and men attempt suicide at similar rates, but men actually commit suicide because women really don't want to take their life. They just want the sympathy from it. And a man, when he wants to do it, he gets it done.
Were also there at the hospital. My guess is they were notified after the hospital attempted to notify me, but Sue would still have my old number as her emergency contact. I simply told her no. Sue's not my problem anymore, and she clearly decided she wanted to take the easy way out rather than deal with the shame and agony of the 23-year marriage she blew up. I then told her friend that if Sue's family were there, they can help her sort out the pieces. But as far as Sue and I are concerned, there is no Sue and I anymore. I then ended the call. I've had a few hours to sleep on it, and my sons called me this morning asking me if I knew. I told them yes, but I also let both of them know that if they want to be there and supportive of their mother, I will not hold it against them or judge them for it. She is their mother after all. But I myself wash my hands of her, and care little to nothing about what she does for or to herself anymore. They were both a little taken aback by this, but respected my stance. However, now that the news has broken,
I think whenever there's a split up or a divorce, regardless, I think the parent that has the kids, that has the primary influence on them, should always tell them they have to see their parent. A lot of times women will say, well, do you want to see them? And the kids are mad. They know that they're going to say, no, I don't want to see him. And then they'll say, they don't want to see you because of what you did. You destroyed the family. That's just the woman's attempt to continue to punish and punish. That's kind of like their revenge or their spite. But I think the parent should always say, no, hey, that's your mom. Go see her. You need to be there for her, or vice versa.
about her attempt, many of those friends who dropped her are all starting to surface again and saying I need to be there for her. That even despite what she did to me, I need to support her.
Ding, 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 ding. Attempted suicide was to gain the respect back, or to get put back in everyone's good graces. Oh, poor thing. She's going through it. I know what she did was bad, but she almost died. Women are smart. They're clever. I'll tell you what. Women are master manipulators all around. They're like third-degree black belts in manipulation. And the funny thing, ask a woman who manipulates more, and they will always say men. Even though they wear makeup, they always have filters, they do and say shit like this, they're calculated, they bullshit, they gaslight. It's crazy.
Her time of need. I've also been informed that her affair partner tried to visit her this morning, but wasn't allowed because he's not family. I'm getting dogpiled on to go see her, but I feel nothing for this woman anymore. I haven't for a very long time. I checked out during the process of getting my payback for her betrayal, and I stand by the fact that I don't care at all for what she's done. In fact, it makes me hate her even more. She's the one who was unfaithful.
Women will drop a man and move on, and they don't give a fuck about him, and he basically no longer exists in their world. But when the roles are reversed, everyone's like, you should be compassionate. Didn't you love her? You guys were married for X amount of years, or, you should care. But with women, they're like, how could she be there when he cheated on her? That's messed up. He earned the position he's in. So this is like, women love to talk about double standards, but women benefit from more double standards, but they try to act like they don't.
She's the one who thought a near year-long fling with a guy 5 years older than her oldest son was worth destroying 23 years. And now that she has to face the consequences of her choices, she chooses the most selfish way to deal with. Even now, seeing as she's in all likelihood going to survive, she's cultivated immediate sympathy from everyone who took her to task, and I'm being made out to look like the jaded ex-husband unwilling to sympathize for her by most of her family. Not her dad. He's reached out to me over the last few hours and said he respects my decision to stay away. It's like I never even truly knew this woman. 23 effing years and it comes to this. Yes, I know the way I broke things off with her may have put her in a poor mental state, but now a whole new...
This is why you have to watch what women do. This is why, you ain't going to the club, you ain't going on girls' trips or whatever, because this woman could have loved him. Guys or women like to paint the picture that when someone cheated, that they were a totally different person that they didn't know. But the thing about women is they could be all in 100% to a relationship and make one mistake, get caught up in their emotions, get buzzed, get drunk, and do something fucking stupid. This is why men, if you are with a woman, you must mitigate risk. Don't control her, but if she does not align with the things you need her to be, if she wants to put herself in positions to where she could potentially cheat, regardless of how trustworthy she is, you just gotta let her be. Send her back to the streets.
Can of worms has been opened up because either she had a complete mental breakdown and decided to self-delete herself, or she made an extremely risky and calculated move to call favor back from people who just weeks prior condemned her for...
That's it right there. He just said it. He said it.
betraying me. She cheated on me, and now she's the effing victim? Sorry if this comes off rantish, but I'm here trying to wrap my brain around this. I want to be perfectly clear. I am not going to visit Sue. She waived her right to me caring about her well-being the day she let POS, my personal nickname for her lover, put his penis inside of her. This might come off as heartless, because despite the cool, calm, collected way I've been throughout my whole ordeal, my feelings are still very much raw. But I don't give an F about this woman. Haven't for a very long time.
She'd love to suck his dick.
I'm aware I'm going to be vilified by a number of folk here. I don't much give a crap. Think of me however you want. If you were in my shoes, you'd see her actions vastly different. Some of you folks are going to look up my post history and see the history of what I did to her, and you're going to draw the conclusion that her attempt was my fault. That me tormenting her for all those months, fooling her into thinking I was cheating on her while she actively cheated.
Yeah, when I went back to go look this up, I wanted to see the actual posts on Reddit. I only found like a few screenshots. I don't know if it's still up or not, but that's all I found. But I seen in some of the comments from some of the screenshots that women were like, well, you don't know what she was going through. Maybe you should, rather than divorcing her, maybe this was your time to be a real husband. And it's just like, wow, female fuckery is a thing.
On me, then destroying her socially and professionally as a result was the catalyst for her meltdown. Maybe it was. Maybe I am a heartless sociopath. But as Arthur Fleck so famously said, you get what you freaking deserve. I gave this woman half of my life and did absolutely everything to be the best possible husband she could ever have. By her own admission, I had no bearing in her decision to step outside of her marriage. She did it for her. Her selfishness knows no bounds, and I am glad to be rid of her. If it makes me the bad guy because I will not go see her and never plan on interacting with her ever again, so be it. I hold true to my damn convictions. She made the choice to betray me. She made the choice to put her needs above the needs of our marriage. So now it's my turn to choose to me over everything else.
Okay, so that is going to conclude our reaction for the night. I will have more videos like this coming out in the future. I want something to where I'm not talking as much. It's a little bit more interesting, and people can actually listen to something without constantly getting interrupted by my ugly voice. But you got to do what you got to do. You can't get flagged. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't done that already. And have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching The Radical Masculine. Now, Spaceman, out.